Hey guys, welcome back to this kind of bonus week of Project Life this week. This is week 53, week 52 and a bit. This is just the add-on bit from the end of 2020 plus a tiny bit of 2021 that I am going to put in the back of my 2020 album so I can start fresh in 2021. Now again, if you saw my video at the start of the week, scrapbook.com sent me a couple of packs from their simple scrapbook card line. This is the Celebrate pack. It seemed appropriate for the end of 2020. The Celebrate, definitely. And so that's what I'm going to use today. You can see this is totally different, a totally different style from the pack that I used earlier in the week. It still has 42 cards, it still has 4x6s, it still has 3x4s, it still has that mix of journaling and filler and pattern, everything you could need. But this has got some super cute little characters on here. This pack would be like ideal for documenting birthdays, or it's called Celebrate, so any of those sorts of things, but it also works really nicely for just a regular old week of Project Life, which is what I've got here. Got slightly more photos this week than I did last week, which is always helpful for me. So I'm just going through these cards, and what I kind of realized as I was going through them, the colors were completely perfect for my sunrise photo on the top there. The black, the pink, the peach, the orange, the blue. Like I couldn't have planned it better, really. And so the issue that I had was just trying to balance out all of those colors. I wanted to use a little bit of all of them, and so that's kind of the struggle that I had, was just working out where all those colors were going to go. Now I'm going to challenge myself, the same as I did earlier, is to just use journaling cards as much as possible and alter them if I need to, which I have done with this one here. So I just cut out the little frame. It said hooray, so again, it would be perfect for a birthday or something like that. But really all I'm documenting is my top 9 Instagram photos. And so all I did was use a craft knife and a craft mat and just really carefully cut around that wreath design so that I had a frame and could pop my photo in behind there. Now, had I known beforehand that I was going to do that, I probably would have printed my photo a little bit smaller. It does cut out quite a bit of that grid of 9, but I'm definitely not reprinting photos. I just want this week to be done. So I'm going to call it good. I just added a little bit of adhesive behind the wreath and stuck my photo down, and that is totally fine. Now, one of the things that I struggle with, and you'll see me swap them out a million times, is what color card I want to have for my title card this week. I really loved that orange star paper, but I also really loved this 3x4 hello, which is on that same color. And I really didn't want to have 2 cards of the same color because I only have limited spots, and I want to kind of diversify those colors a little bit. So what I ended up doing was cutting out the hello and using it like an embellishment, which means I can go ahead and use the star paper for my title card. And so I'm going to add the hello onto another card and again use that like a little bit more of an embellishment. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to challenge myself to do, was not just stick with the cards as they are, but work out ways that I can alter them to make them work for me. Now, the idea that I had for my title card this week was to do a little bit of die cutting. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. I mean manual die cutting too. So I've pulled out my Bold Basic Alpha dies. I just wanted to plan a little bit. I know, shocking for me to be planning. I wanted to make sure that I could fit the words week 53 on this card and be able to die cut them without kind of running out of space. And I can. They're the perfect height that I can fit 3 rows of words on here. It does just take me a tiny bit of time because I have to repeat some of those dies, so I can't do the whole thing in one go. I'm using a little bit of washi tape to hold down the dies that I do have that I can use in place. And I'm using my magic mat because I love that thing. It just makes die cutting so much smoother for me. I made mine fit into my Cuttlebug by just trimming off a little bit of the edge of it. And so you can see it does take me a little bit of time. I'm not going to make you watch all of this because it was pretty tedious to do it. I love the end result, but it did take a bit of time because I end up having to repeat those alphas all the time. Eventually, I get week 53 die cut, and I love how that turned out. I cleaned up all the little bits of paper all over my desk, and then I need to work out what I'm going to back it with. I loved that black pattern, and I love that it pulled in so much of the black that's already on my spread, but I just felt like it was a tiny bit heavy, a little bit overwhelming, and so I did end up backing it with white. And I have used another one of the journaling cards from the actual kit. It's one of these ones the same down the bottom here. So it's just got a bunch of journaling lines and then a little icon on one side. The icon got totally hidden by my die cutting, so that was fine. And it just has that very thin stripe through it. So I'm basically using the exact same card down here. It's one of these icon ones. I typed my journaling on my typewriter using my pink ink, just to add a little bit more color in there. Now my photo is going to cover up the balloon icon. I don't need the balloons, but it is the perfect space for a little photo in there. But what I did do was add a little strip of pattern paper at the bottom just to bring in a little bit of color and kind of stop that card falling down the bottom of my page, because I've got a super black heavy photo on the left and then just this very white card on the right. It felt totally unbalanced, so adding that very thin strip of yellow down the bottom just gives it a bit more weight and stops it feeling quite so unbalanced. Now I'm going to finish off my title card now that I've worked out that I definitely do want the white. Super easy. I used a little bit of smart glue just to glue down all of those little bits and pieces. Lots of little sticky uppy bits that I don't want to get caught on a pocket. So I used the smart glue to stick that down on top of the other journal card. And I'm going to keep the rest of it super simple. I'm just adding another label. I wanted to make sure that the label kind of matched in color, but it also needed to be a little bit bigger because I need to stamp 2 full dates this time. It's the only time in my album that I've needed to do that, because I'm spanning 2 years in here. I needed to get both of those year dates in, and so I added a really thick label. It's kind of a minty green, so it's a little bit different from the rest of the spread, but I think it ties in quite nicely with the color from my rainy day photo there. You can see I added my hello die cut, my fake die cut there. In the end, I didn't add it into the center of that card. I just offset it a little bit and trimmed the edge off it. I was gonna stamp 2021 underneath it, but I decided it was superfluous. I didn't need to. It was gonna be pretty obvious what I was saying hello to, and I didn't like the kind of busyness of adding those stamps in there. So I did end up just leaving it plain as that little bit of a filler card. So I decided that I wanted to add one more card. I wanted to add a little bit more color in here, and my coffee photo was going to be perfect for that because I could trim it down without losing too much of the point of the photo. So what I've done is pulled out another one of those journaling cards. This one has got a frame around it. There were 2 frames, one was blue and one was pink. I decided to go for the pink one, and I'm just eyeballing it basically, trimming down that photo so that it fits into the middle of that frame, covers up those journaling lines. So it's not a journal card, but I am getting that little bit of color in there. So because I'm doing that same sort of deal as week 52, I want to use as many of these cards as I can. I'm going to trim out the sentiment from this one. It says, "Today I will remember," and I'm going to use that as an embellishment for my little sunrise photo here. It was really simple to do, just trimmed the sentiment out top and bottom. I'm going to adhere it down, again slightly overhanging the edge of the photo, and just trim that down. Now I'm going to use that same WordFetti documented stamp set as week 52 as well. I really love how that turned out, so I'm going to repeat that again with a couple of these stamps. So I'm going to stamp some black ones onto the bottom half of that journal card that I already trimmed down, and that'll give me some little word strips. I'm also going to use one of these to stamp directly onto my photo, and I'm going to use Brilliance Moonlight White ink, and I completely duff up the stamping, you'll see. So I end up having to make the decision of whether I'm going to try to restamp it in the same place or stamp it in black on the cardstock and sort of cover over it. So here we go. I'm stamping, 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 and man, did I hash it up. It didn't get, yeah, it had a little thing in it. It had a little bit of fluff or something, and so it doesn't look great. And I decided to restamp it. It still doesn't look brilliant. I kind of got it in the same place, but I didn't. In the end, I decided I didn't want to add black on top of there. I liked the whiteness of it, so I decided to leave it, despite the fact it's not a perfect stamp impression. I mean, this is a handmade craft, right? It's supposed to look handmade sometimes, so I'm just going to ignore that for now and move on to these little tiny words. I don't end up using all of the ones that I've stamped out, but I like that I've got options. Again, by this stage, I just wanted to keep it a little bit simpler, so as much as I stamped out all 3 of them and trimmed them all out, I'm just going to use the little one here. I like that I've got those kind of 3, I don't know, the 3 white rectangles. They're going from the bottom left to the top right, and I decided just to leave it at that. Now, in the same vein as last week, I'm not adding too much embellishments, but I did find these enamel dots. These are from Pink Fresh Studio. They're, again, super old, but the perfect colors, so I had to use them. And when you got stuff in your stash that matches so perfectly as this, it doesn't matter what challenge you've set yourself, sometimes you have to break your own rules. So I'm adding a few little enamel dots here and there, using all those same colors, little pops of yellow, that same, I love that kind of blue. It's almost a violety blue. I love it, it's so pretty. And so I'm going a little bit crazy because I've got these enamel dots to use, so I might as well use them. I'm adding them all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason, basically just to add little pops of color, a little bit of a celebration because this album is finally finished. So do let me know if you want to see a walkthrough of my finished 2020 album. I would be more than happy to share it with you. I will again link these cards down below in the description box if you want to pick some up for yourself. They are super fun, super versatile, and made this week a celebration to finish. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.